Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you have tuned in before, if it's your first time, welcome. I hope I give you something of value that's helpful to you. Give me a thumbs up if you like this at the end. Please subscribe, that would be awesome. And I will link my Instagram account below as well. I'm saying that now because I always forget at the end. So here we go. Today I'm talking about kind of a topic that sucks. It's like once you become aware of narcissistic abuse, what it is, what's been going on this whole time, why you feel so horrible, it is so validating and it's so much sanity all rolled into one. It's like, oh my God, it's not me. It wasn't me all along. It's them, essentially. So it's such a great feeling. So you're kind of like riding on a high. And then you find this fabulous community of people that support you and understand you. That also is huge and wonderful and really like compels you to heal and to recover from all of this trauma and abuse that we have suffered, right? But then you will encounter people that do not understand narcissistic abuse. And it's so hard. It's like a world divided, right? It's like people that get it, people that don't. And it's like two camps, right? So it sucks when someone that is in your life does not understand narcissistic abuse. Because if you're like me, it's like you want that validation from them. You want them to be like, oh, I'm so sorry that you have undergone this. I'm so sorry that, so and so has treated you this way and that they hurt you like this. It's like, so when you don't get that, it's like, it kind of really sucks and it feels shitty. Um, I'm using, like, okay. So I was engaged to a narcissist and that was torture and that was horrible. But I also have a narcissistic mother, right? So she has continued to abuse me at every opportunity for as long as I've been alive. So now that I have learned what this is, and I am learning to navigate my way through recovery to protect myself, to protect my family, trying to extricate myself from everything. So it's like you just want to shout it from the rooftops, like, oh my gosh, this is what's been going on my whole life. And it's funny, I was just talking to my husband about this. It's like I have and I have had such a negative self-perception thanks to my toxic parents, thanks to my narcissistic mother, and my father is the enabler, he's the orbiting parent. So he has allied with her the entire time, regardless of how harmful it has been to me. I've never had anyone on my side. So and even my sibling, my older brother, he has abused me by proxy by just being the flying monkey. He's been the golden child. So basically, I've been on my own for all this time. So, for example, if someone comes, into your life that you have not seen for a while, I'm going to use the example right now of my former boss came to visit me today, and it was lovely. And he's such a good man and he's so kind. And I really enjoyed his visit. So, one of the topics that came up, of course, was my parents. And I was like, I haven't had contact with them since August. And I love it, you guys. You know that. I'm thrilled to be having minimal contact, trying to get to no contact, but it's been such a good thing for me. Like, my communication with my husband has improved. Like, I'm happy for my children because my narcissistic mother is just toxic, like trying to use them for her new supply. So I'm thrilled, like, not being in contact with them. But anyway, so like I said, so my former boss brought it up to me, like, oh, how's your parents, whatever. And I kind of touched on it. I was like, don't really have much to do with them, and nor do I want anything to do with them. And his response was, well, you only have one set of parents, right? Which will be a typical response from someone that does not understand this situation, which is fine. God bless them. Like, anyone that understands narcissistic abuse has been a victim, and it's a crappy family to be a part of, but it's wonderful. Like, everyone that has been a victim that I've been in contact with, some of the greatest people out there. But for people that have not been exposed to this type of toxicity, God bless them. Good for them. It's not a good, it's a horrible experience, as we all know. But what I'm saying is that when you are trying to convey your newfound knowledge to people that are on the outside, essentially, of this, it's like they won't get it. They won't get it. They look at it like, oh, these are your parents, but we're not dealing with normal people here. That's what these outsiders do not understand, is that, like, most people work under the assumption that your family, particularly your parents, are kind-hearted, decent human beings that love you and that want the best for you. But when we're dealing with a narcissistic parent, it is an entirely different ballgame, as we unfortunately know all too well. So I guess my whole point is that when you encounter people on the outside, people that do not understand what narcissistic abuse is, we have to let it go. That's their thing. It's not up to us to educate them. It is not up to us to inform them. And we do not need their approval or their validation. What are they going to validate? They don't know anything about this toxic world that we have been oppressed by for all of these years. The people on the outside have no idea how dark it is in here, dealing with narcissists and being the victim of narcissistic abuse. So people that you will encounter, undoubtedly, that don't understand narcissistic abuse, restrain yourself from trying to educate them. It's like trying to get a narcissist to live up to their wrongdoings. It's not going to happen. I mean, of course, some people will be more receptive to others. I was speaking about this with my husband in the car just now, and thank God, his mom was amazing. His father was a narcissist, but took off when my husband was a young child. Him and his brother were young, so his narcissistic father beat feet and abandoned the family, abandoned his mother and their two children. So, I mean, gosh, like, I think about all of the horrible treatment I have endured by my narcissistic mother and equally toxic father. And I think, gosh, it might have been easier if they just, left me alone, if I did not grow up in that environment. But, who's to say what's worse? So my husband was spared from his narcissistic father, thankfully. But he has witnessed my narcissistic mother and toxic father by being in such close proximity to it. We've now been married for like 11 years. And, prior to that, we dated for years in college. And even then, he really didn't appreciate it because he saw these people on a superficial level. And narcissistic people, all they care about is their outward persona, their reputation. So they're masters at projecting a certain self that is acceptable, that is kind appearing, that is harmless appearing. So, like I said, my husband absolutely supports me and understands and appreciates what this is that I have been the victim of for all of this time. But, we were saying that even people that know the narcissist, that have known the narcissist for a long time, they won't appreciate narcissistic abuse unless they've been the target, the recipient of it, or unless they've witnessed it firsthand pervasively. Because typically, narcissistic abuse, in my case and in most other cases, I'm certain, is very covert, very manipulative, very behind the scenes. One of the best quotes I ever read was that, a narcissist is malicious and intentional because they don't do it to everyone and they don't do it out in the open. They abuse you behind the scenes, behind closed doors, and they target you. They're like sweet as pie to everyone else, right? So, anyway, the whole point of my video here is to just, if you encounter people that are on the outside of narcissistic abuse, that's fine. Don't hurt yourself or question yourself because that's another thing. We're so fragile. We've been so conditioned to question ourselves and to be so hard on like me, for sure. Like, I'm my own worst critic. When I was even speaking to my boss, I was like, oh gosh, I was so terrible back then. And he had a very different perception of me, which was so nice to hear. I was like, gosh, I thought I was awful. I was an awful person. I was so mean or whatever. And like, when you hear other people tell you like that you are in fact a good person and that their perception of you is vastly different than how you saw yourself or see yourself or whatever, it's so nice to hear. And accept that. Like, stop being so hard on yourself. But at the same time, don't try to convince people or to put the facts in front of someone that is not familiar with narcissistic abuse. It's okay. They don't have to understand it. They don't need to they're already on your team, okay? If someone's in your life and you have a relationship with them aside from the narcissist, great. Continue on with that. It's a different story if they're affiliated with the narcissist in your life. But what I'm saying here particularly is just when you encounter people that are not familiar with narcissistic abuse, it's okay. You don't need to educate them. This is our battle, and we're doing awesome overcoming it because we're educating ourselves, and that's the most important thing. So I hope that I provided some type of comfort to you here with this, and I hope everybody's doing awesome, learning everything we can get our hands on. That's how I initially was, and actually I still am. So God bless you guys. We're down, but we're not out. We're learning all about narcissistic abuse and taking care of ourselves and recovering. Until next time.